whichever seat you would love. Yes, Liudai, prašau. Thank you, Gabriele, for such a brilliant presentation. We had the formal introduction, so I ask for permission to make our discussion more informal, so if I can address you just by names, because of all the, titles you have, I don't want to be mistaken. But that doesn't make our topic less important. We have the panel discussion, which is called More Than Logistics, the importance of the transport sector for national security. Probably I'm not the first one and not the last one to highlight the situation that we have. We have the alert situation, which actually I don't think we have experienced, over a couple decades ago. And when there's a threat in the market, someone sees opportunities. So I would love to, to stay on both sides. One hand is to talk about threats and how can we prepare. What are those most important things we all here in this room, as well as in the industry, have to address. But at the same time, to also not to miss a chance to talk about opportunities, where there might be opportunities for businesses, for services, for, innovations, etc., etc. So thank you for time spent here with us, and probably let's dive into the topic. And I would love to invite you, Gediminas, you sort of escalated this topic, and you empowered this topic. You brought this topic here on stage. What is main concern you would love to bring forward for us to also, have in mind or pay attention?
So hello everybody, hello Ugnius, and well, let's start, from thinking how large contribution of the transport sector is. So according to the information provided by the European Commission, transport sector makes 5% of European Union's GDP. So it's an enormous number, but moreover, on the national level, in Lithuania, transport sector makes more than 12% of GDP. And last year I found the digits in our Ministry of Transport and Communication site that in 2023, transport and logistics made almost 19 billion euros revenue. So it's a huge sector, and so many people are working every day in this sector. So when thinking about the resilience against the national security threats, which are emerging more and more in our region and in Lithuania as well, so let's start to think who is responsible for managing these risks, and how should we manage those risks. There is a classical approach that national security risks are some kind of deal of some authorities or some institution or armed forces, but no one is thinking that the resilience against those threats lies on the shoulders of every one of us, including transport sector and people working in this sector. So on this macro level,
yes,
it's a huge responsibility for all of us, and us as a transport sector, we must be resilient against the national security threats. They are emerging every day, and given that the transport sector makes such a large part of our GDP, so, the aggressor countries know that too. So yes, when they would like to strike against us or make a chaos in our country or in our region, so they would strike at the most powerful sectors which are in our country. So logistics is one of those.
Thank you. Thank you, Gediminas. Tomai, can I address you as the advisor to President's office on the national security issues? So what Gediminas is bringing in is those, little tiny things that we daily contribute to national security. But sometimes it might sound that, national security is the issue of national institutions or the President's house or the military, etc. What would be, your approach, or what is your message? How that responsibility of national security should be spread among the I don't know, players of anybody in the country.
Thank you very much for inviting and giving the opportunity to present security or defense question for this community and transport sector companies. I would like to start answering to your question that security is actually the question of and responsibility of all of us. And when we talk about the resilience, we talk about the preparation, this is not particular sector or particular institution who is responsible. So in overall, we see that the security is in a political field has a consensus, and everyone agree on the main lines how we do this. And talking on the transportation sector, I would say how we should split all those responsibilities. First of all, we have to have one owner. This is the primary task we have in our state defense plan, and we see that just with this approach you can get the result. I'm saying this because in overall picture, the transportation sector is so big. And for example, we had a couple weeks ago national mobilization system exercise, system check exercise. And there was a lot of questions which were raised by various of ministries and institutions, which were not related mainly with the subject they are presenting, energy, finance, militaries. Everyone was also about transportation, how we want and how we can transport, who will provide this. And this was like a gray area and probably the homework for the various of institutions to prepare. And in this field, we understand that this particular sector has a lot of ownership and very much diversifies in various of fields. If we wanted to ensure the food delivery, we need a transportation. If we need to take or receive our alliance into the various of airports, we will need a transportation or the capabilities structure.
Yes.
So one owner, but at the same time, there will be more state requirements from different sectors where we can get this. So this will be a little bit also tricky for the transportation sector to understand actually who is who, but from my point of view, the Minister of Transportation window where we should get all those answers, and they should be this coordinating and organizing entity which is connecting all these capabilities. Not just means, but also infrastructure, maintenance, and building. The second one, what is also very important when you split the responsibilities is to understand what actually is the needs. And when we talk about the needs, there is a couple areas we have to address and to take into account. First of all, we have to understand the military needs, where the state will need in the case of an emergency, and this is kind of should be like a prepared plan, and probably the colonel will reflect more. The second one is the civilian needs. That's what I mentioned about the national mobilization exercise, where all those different vital state function enabling institutions should think how they will get all those transportation and all those capabilities. State and municipality is a very important element when we talk about the needs, because there is sometimes what state thinks doesn't mean that in municipality we will have the same.
Yes.
Infrastructure and nodes, the security of it is also the factor where we have to also have the clear understanding what capabilities port, airport, railport, transportational hub has to have.
Yes.
Tones, cranes, all those. And finally, I will maybe stop here, but we will have maybe if time I will elaborate more. But transportation sector is integrating into the state requirements in the two legal frameworks. One is a peacetime. We have to understand this is a market rule. There is easy to, to find what we need and just to find who can provide this. And the second one is a mobilization time or the war or the martial law time. So in this period, the state will be screwed, and we have to have all those plans, preparation. But if we will have time, I will just approve. So
fantastic. Absolutely agree with you. And of course, you very well addressed already the military needs, and thanks for joining our panel discussion as well. So, dear Peter, we haven't had that much of military logistics, like until these days. And at the same time, it's like, for the civil person, it's something, behind the scene that we not often know and not often hear. How do you see, well, we had a chat, you are here based in Lithuania already for 3 years, and how do you see that development of military logistics in Lithuania? Just if you could, a little bit share the, backstage of the whole thing to have a clue.
Thank you. First, let me say it's an honor to be here, and I'm very happy actually, because I think we have a common purpose. We need to work together in order to get the best out of this, and we need you in order to make that happen. So I think there's a lot going on right now, or has been going on for the last 3 years while I've been here. We have the Rail Baltica, there's the Via Baltica, there's the trail model terminal in Kaunas, there's the expansion of the airfield in Šiauliai. And then there's this huge amount of infrastructure that you're building for the German brigade right now. So I would say a lot of things are happening. Now, of course, I am, as a military guy, a bit impatient. I would like to have this in place yesterday, but I also know there are political realities. There is something about dual funding with EU and Lithuania that needs to add up. So I understand that it can't be like yesterday or tomorrow, but as soon as possible, and there's a plan for it to move forward. I think that's good. On the NATO side, we had the regional plans from Vilnius summit, and we are now working on the tactical plan, how to fight especially the land war, which is the kind of the logistic heavy one. That is being detailed down to a lower level right now. But as you probably know, then we cannot fight a war without logistics. The German brigade is a paper tiger without the sufficient logistic to enable it to execute the plans it has. So we need this. And so behind the war-fighting plans, we're working on logistic plans in order to be able to get the necessary forces in time, and then be able to sustain these forces after they have arrived. And this is a big task. So we have the infrastructure, and we have the plan more or less, and then we are lacking the assets of doing this, logistic-wise. So this is where you come in, and I will probably come back to this later, where I see some roles for you to play. But the infrastructure is on a good track, the plans are on a good track, and then we just need the capabilities in place so that we can conduct the war-fighting plans at the front line.
Thank you very much. For sure, we will come back to some, maybe collaboration ideas and some success stories. But you mentioned also that, political aspect. So may I refer back to Tomai, to you, again, before we go to Liudas. But again, Tomai, are we politically threat resistant? I mean, sometimes it's, it's the political decision. It's not the infrastructure, it's not the cybersecurity, it's not something, and, delays in political decisions might have, more sort of, threat or damage rather than just, having some infrastructures in place. How do you see that part? If to also from like a helicopter view to see all the threats, because there's a infrastructural threat, political threat, then we will go to this, cybersecurity threat, etc. How do you find it?
I would say that, first of all, from political level, threat for the decision and for acting and for preparation, there is no such a threat.
Okay.
So we say that at political level there is will and will be will. Secondly, we have our law system, which has a couple of dedicated laws for the state defense.
Okay.
And this is a right of every person sitting in this room to defend the country by all the means. It could join the military force, but it's an individual responsibility and individual right to defend the country by itself. So we have a kind of law regulation which already eliminate any decision, flux if such will happen. And as I mentioned before, there is no argument between the political parties on understanding that we need to strengthen our defense, that we need to invest, that the total defense or the whole society approach, companies, NGOs, state institutions has to work together in order to be ready, not like for the emergency situations, but to prepare more. What we see the examples in Ukraine and all those aspects. And I would say that one of the tools we have is a president with the State Defense Council approved the State Defense Plan, which is unclassified, which defines, and it's a public, how we wanted to connect this joint effort and to ensure. So the political level wants to ensure that this institutional coordination, between the institutional coordination is working, because now we see that this kind of has some fragmentation, and not always Ministry, for example, of Transportations talk with the Minister of Defense, or Minister of Defense talk with the Social Affairs or Internal Affairs Minister. So the political will is, legal framework is, and joint effort also exists.
Tom, probably, I'm too sensitive because of the ongoing elections, and there are some initiatives and candidates that probably, raise that threat. But thanks for sharing. I feel a lot more safe knowing that it really works. Liudai, moving to you, from that national security perspective, but having in mind your field, so it's the cybersecurity part. How do you see the whole industry, the transportation industry is starting with, infrastructural part, maybe going to software parts, etc., data, etc. Do you see any important threats that you would love to highlight so that everyone in this room could actually also double check? Am I still okay? Am I safe enough? Is my business safe enough? Could I actually provide services to military, to NATO, etc., etc.? Please share your short list.
Okay. First of all, thank you for having me here with you. Secondly, thank you and congratulations that actually you put cyber security topic here for discussion. It only indicates how smart this event is and all participants. As colleagues already described how important transportation sector is for national security, for country as such. These are critical functions or services that must be stable, always available for various reasons, for business purposes, for security, for transportation, battle vehicles, ammunition, and so on and so forth, casualties. And what is important, coming back to cybersecurity, it happens so that as of today there is no just transportation companies or businesses. We all are IT companies. Our business directly depends on IT services. And taking into consideration various scenarios can happen, bad scenarios happen, and our transportation services can be paralyzed due to various attacks against our IT. Just simple example. You heard a lot 1 month ago, CrowdStrike incident, when that was not cyber actually, but the impact was huge. All airports have been shocked and stopped. It's just one small mistake. Ticketing system has went down, and that's it. We have chaos, we have paralysis, nothing is moving. So that's one of the examples. On the other hand, what we observe, even here in Lithuania, in Europe, what we observe that cyber criminals, these are quite bad people, guys, but they are very smart. And just believe me that, for example, if you or your company gets into their target, they know very well your financial situation. In case if they succeed, they know how much ask for money for ransomware, for example. It depends. If a company is big enough, you cannot expect like a ransomware for 100 euros. It will be 100,000 euros. So these guys are quite smart people, and they find ways. So putting everything together, so it's important. You companies are really important for national security. Transportation is one of critical services. All these services rely directly on IT services, and that's the domain for various things to happen.
Thanks a lot, and that also, again brings the idea that if you could be just a company having, I don't know, 20 trucks, but you could be very important during the turbulent times, during the wartime, to deliver, to transport, until you are safe, until you are secured, until you don't have those digital or cyber vulnerabilities. Thanks a lot. Gediminai, so LTG Group, what do you do as a company to resist all those threats or become really, those threat resistant? Maybe you could share some examples, and some of the audience could also pick up some ideas.
Okay, so actually you touched a good point, that we should look to all these situations that appear, not only as a threat, but also as an opportunity. And, the imperative is not a nice game to play, right? So let's talk about opportunities a little bit more.
Okay.
As I would like to emphasize that we're living the peacetime now. Yes, the threats are emerging, but thanks to all our forefathers, and all the people who surround us, we are part of NATO, EU, and the civilized world. So that's why we're living the peacetime. So let's look at the opportunities. And the opportunities for transport sector are huge. As military mobility is expanding. All the provision needed for military needs are also expanding. So that means that there is an opportunity to get more orders from this field to the transport sector. And LTG Group, as a strategic company in Lithuania, we deal with the companies who act in the military mobility field. And we heard, not once, we heard that the reliability is the key factor why they chose LTG to work with. So reliability, consists of all parts. So whether it would be physical security, cyber security, inner resilience against, against corruption, bribery, whatever.
Yes.
So that's why we look at national security threats as just a part of the whole risk map, which we have in our group. And we have very particular risks related to national security threats. They are included in our risk management system. So then we have, all this good governance and approach from our board, from our CEO, and inside the company, that it's part of our business. Those risks, they are part of our business. It's not a risk which is only, to the armed forces or some authorities or institutions. It's also a part of our business as we act in this region. Okay. So that's why we included those risks in our risk management map, and therefore we manage those risks, we review them on a regular basis. And there is another layer inside this, so preparation and building up readiness for mobilization and for the worst hours, which may appear, which do not appear now, but which may appear living in this region.
Yes.
And it's we heard already in this discussion that the expectations toward the logistics and transportation sector is huge, and even more for railways, which can carry very heavy cargo, right? So that's why we started to ask ourselves, do we know what the expectations are towards our? Do we know the role in the time of mobilization? And the answer was, well, not, because earlier on, the mobilization task for LTG was to ensure the mobilization task given to the Ministry of Transport and Communication. Can you understand that? Well, so what is your task? Well, my task is to ensure the task of the ministry, and I don't know what it is.
Okay.
So that's why, you are in the situation ground zero. You do not know anything. So that's why we started to build this, define our role, and then we started to talk with the authorities, institutions. We searched direct contacts with different institutional authorities in Lithuania, and even in NATO. We were in NATO headquarters to ask what should we do, what can we do. So we defined our role. Then we started to prepare our plans inside the organization. And they consisted of definition of our role, then definition of the functions, critical functions, what should work, in time of mobilization in any case, what people should work, and ensure those functions. It's called civil mobilization personnel reserve. Then we start to think, what resources do we need to ensure those mobilization tasks? So then we know what resources we have to collect in our organization. And then we have to, empower, create our network, inner and outer network with the stakeholders, be it your board, be it your CEO, be your C-level directors, be it authorities, institutions. So then when you create your network, you share your knowledge with others and gain the knowledge of others. So that's why you strengthen your own ability and readiness. So to conclude, I would say that there are 3 steps you could think about this. You just know your role, define your role, then plan inside your organization, make it a strategic plan for your organization in this field, and then empower your network. Create, maintain, and empower your network. Those are 3 key elements that are crucial for making your organization resilient against national security threats, I would say.
But that also raises me an idea that, you as the, railway infrastructure and provider, you also need that multi-transportation, partners, because somewhere you might need a boat, somewhere you might need a truck, etc., etc. So probably those partners that are here could also learn with you, because in a way you connect with that whole system, and as a player in the system, you can also educate and, sort of help them adjust or also raise their resilience level.
Yeah, so that's why we're sitting here and discussing this topic, right? Absolutely, all the actors in the transportation field, the more resilient all the actors are, the
Sure.
more resilient the sector is, the more resilient the country is, the more resilient the region is, right?
Okay.
So that's why we discuss with our partners in the transportation sector, with the other strategic companies, state-owned companies. We share our knowledge, but of course, there's no limit. You know, we can share this information with the public sectors as well, and we should share. So we just should find the right format for platform for you know, exchanging those ideas, knowledges, and even lessons learned. So you do not always succeed, right? So it's part of business as well.
Sure. Tomai, being also the the president's house, the advisor, how do you see, I hear that commitment from political parties. I hear that commitment and state defense plans. And of course, making a plan during the peaceful time might be quite challenging because, you might miss something. But can you just give an idea about also some, I don't know, either inspiration or how can we invite also political institutions, again, be it a government, which is the executive body of the state, to also look around and see businesses and services and opportunities to maybe sometimes, again, partner with businesses to complete some parts of that, defense plans, etc. So that it doesn't stay only within, state authorities, but also connects with the rest of the, I would say, ready-made resources. So is it also a topic that should be addressed, or we shall just simply expect that it's going to happen when the time comes? Or we shall also prepare it somehow?
Of course, to prepare. And I would say that this effort toward preparation is ongoing. Mentioned plans, but also mentioned the council. And I'm a secretary of the council, and we have in this council all the main business associations in Lithuania.
Okay.
We have all the main NGOs organizations. We have all the governmental branches we have military, we have rifleman union, we have scientists, and we have journalists. So this is a kind of very colorful public where we can talk and to share this approach for the defense and the needs and the task we wanted to perform. But talking about particularly about the transportation sector or transportation system, there is one of the effort what we are trying also to work together with the Minister of Transportation. We're talking now about how Minister of Transportation sees and enables our transportation system functioning. Not talking about those entities who are enabling, transporting, having the vehicles, but mainly looking into the networks, rail networks, road networks, our port capabilities, and how we can, or who will actually work in this crucial infrastructure during the crisis. And this was a very good grip that, for example, we have our 3 strategic airports. We have a seaport, and we have a lot of other state-owned places or companies, which actually is very much, or not very much, but they dependent on private sector. They will not be able to perform the function without all those cargo companies, transportation companies. That's why, we encourage them to talk with those companies, to invite them and to explain what could be their role and how they can contribute. And this is not easy. Usually, all those initiatives sometimes, they are going through the lenses of how much it will cost, and this will, this is deteriorating. It's not giving the right effect. But the initiative, one is from the state.
Yeah.
But we see that this initiative not always work. And if we say that the main, one box or, one window principle is as Minister of Transportation who should arrange everything, have a state intent how we wanted to provide the transportation services for all the military and civilian organization, municipality level. It takes time. They don't have probably the enough capability to proceed. There's a lot of dots they need to connect, but at this moment there is not yet connected.
Okay.
And what the president, always says that look, we see that the motion of a government institution is not always in the same speed as NGOs or the private.
Okay.
So we encouraging that the private sector, transportation sector, NGOs, they will come up with the capabilities they have, and they will propose those to those owners that look, we are capability of this, and we can do this, and this could be our contribution. And this is
Sure.
bottom up, and down.
Tommy, while listening to you, I just, one thought just came to my mind. Even during the times of peace, we have falling bridges or bridges falling apart. So, I just imagined if those were, tanks going through the Kėdainiai bridge or, somewhere else. So that's one of your points, to keep up the speed, because we are the country of rivers. And I think military would always have, river as some sort of, element which can, either, help you in your maneuvering or, make the life of the enemy, harder. But again, Gediminas, going back to the idea of keeping an eye on opportunities. So what would NATO share as the best experiences of private and military partnerships? Because I think some of us here, would love to see also opportunity for themselves. Maybe, I can come up and say, okay, state is slow, but look, here I am, I can do this and that. Could you share some of the best stories or best examples, or at least give a clue where to focus?
So I will probably start with looking at where we have the challenges within logistics. And you all know about the geographical realities here. The Suwałki corridor, the Kaliningrad Oblast, and the consequences that has for the situation here.
Yes.
So NATO is very well aware of the capabilities, the Russian capabilities in Kaliningrad. So we are preparing to fight initially with a cut-off logistic connection to the rest of Europe. And how do we do that? We pre-position, we pre-stock some of our supplies here in Lithuania so that we will be able to fight the first days without a continuous supply rolling in, flying in, or sailing in from the rest of Europe. Luckily, Sweden and Finland is now on board, and this helps our supply lines. So it's not just through the Suwałki corridor, but it's also by sea through the harbors and the airports in Lithuania, but also I'll say the harbors in Latvia, in Liepāja, not just Klaipėda. Looking at the bottlenecks here, of course, the repair facilities or the repair capabilities to re-establish a road that has been blown up, bridges that has been blown up, is important. Capabilities to re-establish harbors that has experienced a missile attack, that is also important. But we also need simple transport. Your buses, we need them to transport soldiers maybe from the ships or from the airports to their vehicles coming inshore at the harbors. We need everything you have that can dig a hole in the ground in order to make trenches and holes for us, but also to repair the holes that might be done, also repair the air strips that might be attacked. We need that. And then we need your container transport capacities in order to transport the thousands of containers that will be pre-stocked and will keep rolling in after we deal with the missile threat from Kaliningrad. Then the supply lines will be re-established, and we will have ships coming in with supplies. So we actually know who you are. We know your not person, but we know your companies, and we know the capabilities. And I don't do contracts with you, but my superior headquarter in Brunssum will be here in the near future, and there will be a reach out for you, for some of your companies, in order to look into what can we make of, what do you call that, readiness contract,
Yes.
where you deliver your equipment, and in order to make it as relevant as possible, I would say look into, we might like to have your drivers with the vehicles. We might like to have the vehicles painted in black and green. We might like to have some of the staff in the company, so in ideal, a civilian company comes in and then they are capacity solving a task for us instead of we taking over the vehicles itself. And so I think if you try to look into this win-win situation, how can your company be used in a wartime, then we will find a role there and we'll find a solution. And then of course we need to train this. And this is probably where the compensation comes in before, because we can always refer to plan B, confiscate your equipment. I can't, but he can. And then the compensation will be afterwards. But we would like to plan this properly in peacetime. We would like to train this properly in peacetime so that we know it works. This is the way we reach deterrence. That is by being able, knowing very well inside ourselves that we are able to defend Lithuania for whatever it takes with the necessary help from outside. And we're not just talking about a German brigade, it's a German division coming in, and there will be NATO reaction forces.
Yes.
Lithuania will be filled with soldiers, and hopefully we will have evacuated a big number of the civilian on the eastern part of Lithuania, so that should be okay. But there's a lot of transportation you might see here with the forces coming in, huge number of forces, and then the logistics needs to support evacuation, forces coming in, and then the sustainment of these forces. Yeah, I think we will come back to that later. There are many options here.
I mean, I listened to this. That does sound as a great opportunity and as a great collaboration, situations. But on the other hand, I wish that we will not have the situation to use it. But it's better to be prepared. Liudai, I see the time running so fast, and actually it just like, a mingle of an eye. But still, Liudai, what would be your recommendations to the audience here today? What are those basic first steps each company needs to do or assess or, to build that cyber resilience, cyber security resilience, cyber threat resilience? Could you please share some?
Yeah, so colleagues already described that their success journey, so it's all about the same, it's about risk mitigation management. So the first recommendation, just to have cyber threat related risks in your cyber register and start working with it. Another really effective recommendation for decision makers, for C-suits, just to take a half a day and to play so-called TTX or table topics exercise, and just scenario simple, our core transportation system went down. That's it. What happens?
What do we do?
Do you know whom to call? Is the business still up and running? Or another scenario, our mobile phones just disappeared. How we manage these situations, and believe me, you will see so many gaps, and you will find really simple solutions to prepare for such scenarios, to be resilient in the future. And awareness, really recommend to visit National Cybersecurity Center's webpage. My team already built a lot of great contents for you to train your people for free by the way, for free.
Okay.
And I'm really proud about one course that is dedicated for decision makers, top decision makers. It takes, this online course takes 15 minutes, not to lose attention of decision makers, just, you know, and this course is doomed for success. No magic questions, all that stuff. It's about risk mitigation. Questions to ask your IT department head, just for you, for decision makers, to be aware about cyber threats, how important these are, and how to deal with it. That's it.
Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen. I think and I hope the audience has got at least a little clue about how complex, but on the other hand, how simple everything is, because it starts with each single person having that education, having that awareness. So there's an opportunity to learn for free until it's for free. And when it's done, it's, you know, we see how can we integrate into the whole system, the political system, the military system, the logistical system. So I wish you all great success. Thank you, the respectful panelists. Thank you for your time. Round of applause. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.